Hi, I'm Kayleigh Frost, Head of Clinical Support at Health Assured, and I'm joined today by Kristian, one of our helpline counsellors. Hi, Kristian,
Hi.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, you?
Yeah, fantastic, thank
Good.
you. Thanks for joining me again.
It's okay, it's all right, my pleasure.
You were the pioneer of our podcast,
Yes.
speaking about work-related stress
That's
earlier
right.
this year. So thank you so much for coming around again.
No problem.
And I know that this is a topic that you have a huge interest in from a counselling perspective, from your practice as well. So we're going to be talking about relationships today.
That's right,
Now,
yeah.
this can be very multifaceted. I know there's so many different elements that can feed into this. It's not just romantic relationships. You've got family, friends, you've got social relationships as well. But why is it you're interested in relationship support?
I think relationships is, yes, it's a huge subject. It's a massive thing. Because when we look at relationships, that can actually be the core of a lot of things. So relationships with our parents, relationships growing up, that can cause issues later on in life. Relationships then lead on to romantic relationships and attachment styles. And then that impacts on the relationship we have with ourselves as well. So it's a huge subject that I think can cause all sorts of issues, can be difficult as well, but it also generates a lot of interest. You know, you see it on TV, Love Island, reality shows.
Are you a fan?
I've watched it now and again. but what you're watching there is relationships. You know, all these reality shows, you're watching relationships and the emotional drama around that. And I think everyone's interested in it to some extent. But I think relationships is a massive subject. It's the only thing that's brought me into a therapy room.
Oh, really?
Myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll be open about that.
Yeah.
So, I think for that reason, it's something I'm interested in, and it impacts everyone. It can be quite a triggering subject as well for counsellors and clients.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're right. I think relationships and drama feeding into that has been thrust into the limelight. It's whether we like it or not, it is everywhere. Even if you don't watch Love Island or Love is Blind or anything like that, it's all over social media. You'll see some kind of drama relating to it. It's on showbiz news. It's all just part of pop culture now. Relationship breakdowns publicly of our favourite celebrities, key, superstars or politicians, royals, it's everywhere.
Scandals,
Scandals.
People are really interested in it.
Yeah.
The media, movies, the love story, the falling in love and living happily ever after. That's all pop music. Yeah. It's all about love stories. A lot of it is anyway, and that you forget what it feels like when you meet somebody and there's just that magic there. There's just something there, and certainly if you've been in a long-term relationship, you forget that feeling. And it's that honeymoon period, and it's exciting. It feels amazing, and people want to sing about it. People want to write films about it, and do movies and stuff. And it's there's a lot of interest in it, but they're not always easy. Relationships aren't always easy for people either. It's kind of sold as something that meet your partner, live happily ever after, but it's not that easy. Not for a lot of people.
So we've almost, because it is everywhere, movies, television, music, poetry, novels, it's like everyone has been set up to fail anyway, because there's this, not set up to fail, but you're setting up a certain expectation that is highly likely never going to be achieved continuously. And is that there, that's when calls for support, requests for structured therapy, relationship counselling, couples therapy, family counselling, all kind of comes into play because almost unreal expectations have been set. Would you agree?
Absolutely, it's a fairy tale, isn't it? We're given this fairy tale growing up as kids, through music, through movies. We're going to meet somebody, fall in love and be happily ever after. And it's not that simple. Relationships are very difficult for a lot of people. Now, we talk about relationships with friends and family, which are important, and it's connection with other people, which is really important. The connection with others is so important. But we talk about romantic relationships. A lot of clients really struggle with those. And because it's a close attachment. So a lot of people, I've got friends. We've probably all got a friend or somebody we know who's been single for a long time, many years. I was like, what's going on? Why are they on their own? They seem nice. Usually what's going on is that there's they've probably got some attachment issues. And closer relationships can be more frightening or difficult for some people. Now, usually it's because they've been let down by close attachments in the past, growing up in their childhood, for example. So it could be they might have lost a parent when they were young, and that can impact on your relationships getting older, because it's frightening to have a close attachment with someone else. So it's that intensity, but some clients really struggle with that, just to begin relationships, just to have them. And this isn't something that's talked about at all. You know, as you said, we're sold this fairy tale thing, but a lot of clients really struggle with relationships, and they can be quite frightening. And then when they do get into relationships, they're emotionally intense. There may be a lot of insecurities, so they get jealous. You know, they don't feel secure in the relationship. They don't have the confidence in themselves, probably because they've been on their own a long time. And it's this feeling that actually, if someone gets close to me, I might get let down, I might get hurt. So, you know, we don't hear about any of that. But
no, and you know what? There's such a bad rap for people that are in that situation. You know, they're either spinsters or profound bachelors, or, you know, they're players, or they're emotionally stunted, you know, and can't, there's lots of negative connotations, because of that difficulty and those challenges to form close relationships. So they might then choose not to form them at all. And again, there's such a negative kind of spin on that.
Absolutely. You feel judged. You feel society expects us to be with a partner and with children and I think people do feel that when they're on their own for a long time. But some people, they are happier that way. It's easier for some people to be on their own and not to get too close to people. I think close relationships does bring happiness, though. You know, if we can do it, if we're able to do it, and I think people that are on their own for a long time generally, I think there have been studies done, certainly with men, where they're generally not as happy if they're on their own as if they are with a partner. So, but it's that, you know, there is a judgment. Society does tend to expect us to kind of have that sort of relationship
with individuals status. That don't or choose not to or abstain from a romantic relationship. You know, they choose that's kind of, they're quite comfortable with that, and that's fine, and it's a protective factor, that, you know, protective kind of mechanism there. Is still important for them to have relationships with friends, with family, because you need human interaction, don't you? It's one of the ways to general well-being is connection. So would you say it is, whilst someone may not want to form romantic relationships, that they still remind themselves of their support networks, that the other important people in their life?
Yeah, absolutely. We need that. It's so important. So, you know, I mean, we get so many calls coming in from people that have had affairs. Okay, so they're in a relationship, they've had an affair, and people get their heart broken, and it's horrible to hear, it's horrible to listen to. But what we need to be able to cope with that is a support network outside of the relationship. So if you've got that, we can cope better with a potential heartbreak. Every relationship is a risk. Every romantic relationship, we don't know what we're getting into. No one does.
No.
So there is always that risk element. But if you've got that safety network, a safety thing outside of it, which some clients forget about or don't realise they have, and it's like, well, you'll be okay if things go wrong. You'll be all right. You've got this support network. You've got a counsellor, you know, for example, if they're talking to me or whoever. And it's having that support outside of it, which is so crucial, and that gives them the courage to open up, let people in, and have happy relationships.
I think people do struggle with that, you know. So I mean, I'm very similar in the sense that if I've, you know, for a long time I felt like a romantic relationship defined me, like that's kind of feeding into social norms and acceptance, and that when it wasn't going right or hasn't gone right or failed, ultimately that is a label on me per se. But you know, I've had to find the motivation still, to pick out really key people in my life that are my people, if that makes sense. If a romantic relationship fell down or wasn't successful or had rocky parts or whatever, that I still had strong relationships with other people in a non-romantic way that were there, that there was support network.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you, as part of your role, when people are feeling alone, or like a relationship isn't working out, or it hasn't worked out, or there's been an affair, or whatever, do you have to make a conscious effort to get them to remind themselves, who are your people in your life? Yes, you've lost Joe Bloggs, this relationship with Joe didn't, work out, for example, or this relationship with whoever didn't work out. Who are your people that you can turn to? Do you have to almost make them get out of this certain mentality that they're alone? They have other people.
Absolutely, you're not alone. You've got people around, usually anyway, occasionally. But usually there is support around them. It's identifying that. Who is your support? Who do you go to? Who do you talk to? A lot of, I think this happens more with men. If they're in longer term relationships, they'll tend to lose touch a bit with their support. Yeah. So a lot of times we'll get clients calling, I'll be dealing with clients who's been in a relationship for 15, 20 years. They might be in their 40s or 50s. And if the men have lost touch with their friends because of the relationship. And it's remembering that we do need to keep those things going. We don't want to feel alone outside of it. But, again, I say be proactive. We can reach out to people, just because we haven't seen anyone for a while, we can do that. And absolutely we do. We need the support outside the relationship to have the confidence to be successful within it. But it's a very emotive subject as well. When you hear people, affairs, we get a lot of affairs calls coming in, health assured.
Do you get that from the people that have done the cheating, have had the affair, and then on the flip side, the people that have been cheated on calling?
We do. We get both.
Yeah.
I'd say probably more, the ones I've dealt with, probably more the ones that have been cheated on. Yeah. So they call in and I've just found out, it's heartbreaking to hear they've been together so many years, and they found out they've been seeing someone for 6 months or 12 months. They see it on the phone, which is the technology thing now. It's the tablet. Yeah. And what I hear so often is the other partner will try and blame it on them.
Gaslight.
They'll say,
pass the blame.
but I did this because of you, because the relationship wasn't right. So they'll call in, they're heartbroken and they're feeling guilty. Yeah. As well.
It's their fault.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't you. Yeah. This is them. This was their choice, their actions. And that's not. Affairs happen for a reason. Okay. There's usually something lacking in the relationship that they're getting from outside of it. They're getting something outside the relationship they've not got in the relationship. Yeah. So that's why they happen. But it's like, it would help to try and identify those things first before we start to explore being unfaithful. Yeah. It's trying to get the couples counselling in before we get down that road. Yeah. But we're human beings, we sometimes...
Doesn't work as smoothly as that, yeah.
Sometimes we do just connect with somebody, and we might be in a long-term relationship, we connect with somebody, and, it's like, well, what's going on here? Maybe I need to think about this or back off, But there's a lot of that. They don't take responsibility. They try and blame it on the other person. It's just like, it's not you. It's not your fault. Yeah. And then we, do we explore couples counselling at that point? Are we separating? Are we going to look at staying together? The trust has gone. Okay, so that would need to be built up again. So when any couple that's gone through that, right, we're going to have to build up the trust before we even, so it's building that bridge up again, because the trust would have gone by that point. Or do we explore, separating and but then sometimes we get the person who's done the betrayal, who's actually, and might feel really guilty. Yeah. Usually it's after they've been found out though. Yeah. Right, they know.
They need to take accountability then for their actions, absolutely. Being held accountable.
Yes, and maybe that the other partner said, right, it's over, and then they realise the impact of what they've done, and oh my God, I've been so stupid, and they can feel really. Sometimes they're in tears, but often even suicidal thoughts because this has happened, and they can see the relationship breaking down. So yeah, we get it both sides, and it's, I think most people have probably experienced heartbreak in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
And it's triggering to listen to. It's heartbreaking to hear it.
Yeah.
So it's, but no, counselling's there to help support people with that
Yeah,
kind of
that's why you go
situation.
through like supervision and stuff.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, taking on, it's not just the anxiety cause, the depression cause, up there in the top 5. We were saying it before, top 5 reasons people call. Relationships, partners is in the top 5 out of all the 100+ reasons why people call our service. So you are taking a lot on and becoming a third person in many relationships, even if the other person doesn't know it. You are there supporting one half of that couple or that that partnership at least. So when you mention couples counselling, especially through kind of periods of maybe someone being unfaithful, can you, even if you're deciding to separate and go separate ways, would relationship counselling still work, to go through that transition together, or would you recommend that the two individuals seek individual counselling together, or would you recommend they do it together? What would be the best?
It depends what they want to gain from counselling. Usually, if it's about the relationship, and couples counselling can be used to navigate a separation as well. It's not just about staying together. Yeah. If the presenting issues are about the relationship, then yes, I'd recommend couples counselling. If it's more about the individual, I need to work on my issues, then it might be more individual. But we say couples, it's in the top 5, but things like anxiety and depression can be caused by relationship issues or relationship with ourselves, relationship
or
with
vice
others.
versa. The relationship breakdown could come as a result of
your anxiety and depression. So it's all linked. It's a massive subject, and there's a model. It's the drama triangle. It's called Cartman's drama triangle. So it's the rescuer, victim, the persecutor. Okay, so an affair is a good example of this. So you can have somebody's done the affair, and then the other one calls in. So they're the victim. They're saying, this is the persecutor. And then we'll be the rescuer. So that can change as well. So if the perpetrator or the one who's done the betrayal makes the other one feel guilty, then they can act like the victim. Well, I did that because you weren't giving me enough attention. I'm the victim here. They feel like the perpetrator. They ring us and we're the rescue. So that's interesting with affairs as well and relationships. It's the drama triangle, which any toxic relationship usually will have elements of the drama triangle. And the roles can change between different people. So
based on that, can a counsellor, psychotherapist, adapt and provide the right type of support based on kind of if that drama triangle's presenting itself quite clearly, quite apparently, is it quite, I don't want to say easy and kind of devalue the type of work, but if there's clear defined roles within that situation, does it make it easy for yourself as a clinician to work through that?
Yeah, and I can speak and make the client aware that this is the role you're playing within this dynamic. And sometimes that changes. And what's going on there, this is quite toxic, it's not very good for us. Maybe we need to look at this from a different perspective. But yeah, that's a good model to refer to with sort of certainly affairs, which, happen a lot. But, then again, relationships are hard work. Close romantic relationships are not easy. To get past the honeymoon period and sustain that interest, and when you have children, that often impacts on marriages and relationships because the focus has to go on the child. So the relationship can suffer. So a lot of relationships may break down after that, or certainly experience problems. And it's remembering that we need to check in with each other. Let's do a date night. Let's
making an effort.
Absolutely.
Still.
It's just it's not easy. Close relationships are not always easy, and we have to work at them.
So obviously affairs, betrayal, children, two big factors for relationships breaking down. What other triggers or causes of relationship breakdowns do you tend to see quite regularly?
So a lot of the time the family issues.
Oh really? Yeah.
So you might get somebody call in and say, the relationship's great, but his dad or his mum keeps getting involved.
Friends
are getting
Friends
involved.
Are protective.
Yeah.
Especially, I think, girlfriends, we get very, very protective, don't we, over our
absolutely.
friends,
Other people can get involved and or I don't get on with their friends. But we're okay, but, so it's other people, sometimes parents want to get involved in a relationship, particularly after they're married. There's at weddings, you get a lot of arguments with family members because where are we sitting? Where are we? It's quite common. You'll get disagreements because how are we valued within this relationship? What about us? I should be on the top table. We should be here.
Have you seen lots about that?
Yeah, you do get stuff like that. It's if you've got step parents, how do they fit into stuff? But we get other family members. The family unit can be
holidays, Christmas. Who you're spending it with this year?
Absolutely, yeah.
Those types of things. Or you're going away on holiday, or christenings, birthdays. Yeah. Okay, so it's when it's not just the two of you, it's everyone else that comes with the two of you as part of that package deal and navigating
Absolutely. If you've got children with an ex-partner, they've got to still be involved somewhere. So mum or dad or whoever. Yeah. I've got issues with the ex. The ex keeps texting him. The ex keeps or her. But they have to have a co-parenting relationship. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things with, we get all sorts of subjects coming in about it.
It's like we could do, like I was mentioning to you before about doing, a session on anxiety. It's something that we could do a 12-session series on, and relationships. It sounds the same, because you've got so many different dimensions to relationships and what that means. I guess as a kind of first port of call, if you're concerned about a relationship, you're concerned about a romantic relationship, for example, what kind of top tips would you have in terms of addressing this, especially if you're someone that shies away from confrontation, disagreement, conflict, if you're a little bit apprehensive and anxious about that. It's not healthy to leave that be, of course, and to just ignore it and hope it'll get better. What are some good practical approaches to start addressing this, nip it in the bud before it ever got to something really tragic like a betrayal or separation or something like that?
It's noticing things early on. Are there red flags early on? Sometimes there are, and we ignore them, and then we think, I should have, and then it becomes normal, and then so there's that. I think communication. Communicate about how we're feeling. A lot of men struggle to do that more than women. Some women do. Mm-hmm. A lot of women struggle to talk about how they're feeling as well. Particularly clients that, again, might struggle with intimacy or physical or emotional. Communication, noticing red flags, not being afraid to say, well, actually, I disagree with you. Mm-hmm. I think you just mentioned then some people are afraid of conflict, so they may go along with things in a relationship. I'll do that to make them happy. I'll do that to make them happy.
Don't want to make a fuss.
Exactly.
Don't want to rock the boat.
Which goes a bit back to the first podcast I did about people pleasing. So you get relationships where someone's a people pleaser. I'll do what they want. They do it for years. I'll just run around and do what they want. Well, what about you? Yeah. And it may be that the other person isn't happy now, and then but they're so used to running around after them, they don't know what they want anymore. It's having the courage to say, well, what do I want in this relationship? Does this make me happy? I don't always agree with you, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. We touched on it before about arguing. So a lot of arguments people see as, I need to win this. Mm-hmm. I need to win this argument, right? Which is really not healthy. It's not a competition.
Not playing a game.
No, it's okay to say, well, let's just agree to disagree. Let's just agree to disagree. We'll go, and then we'll come back and talk about it. And that's okay to do that. Yeah. But some people, couples get really into that kind of, I need to win this. I need to, and it's just so toxic. It's then they're trying to win it, and it's actually quite childish as well. And we can get into these sort of childish roles in relationships as well. But communication. What do I want in this relationship as well? It's not about what everyone else wants. Talking openly, not trying to win battles all the time, and spending time with each other.
There's lots that can be done. I think for anyone that is concerned or worried about their relationship, or maybe the relationship of someone else, you're not sure how to start a conversation, whether it is with your partner or someone that you're having a relationship breakdown with. If you've got an EAP, for example, we've got lots of guides on the app, on the portal. Before you even need to speak to a counsellor, there's lots of things that we've got in place if you're unsure about kind of confidence in addressing a difficult situation. If you do want to hash it out with a counsellor, that's what we're here for on EAP. So if you're not sure where to start, because it is a minefield navigating relationships, even if it's the most easy going, easy breezy, there's going to be some kind of red flags there. So if you are unsure, you're not sure how to navigate, not sure where to start, then check in on the resources that we've got. Give us a call, and we'll be able to maybe just give you some pointers in one call, and then we've just given you the confidence boost that you need to navigate that and start a conversation before it gets out of hand. Would
it's just getting perspective from someone else.
That's it.
The different impartial views. Some clients are ringing, I just want to check something with you. I've got something going on in this relationship, and I had one recently, and it was a woman that rung in, and she said, my partner, he's got loads of female friends. He spends loads of time with these female friends. He's always texting them. I've said to him, I'm not the jealous type, but I've asked him if we can and she just wanted an impartial perspective on that situation. And I said, well, how's this impacted on you? How's it making you feel? I'm a bit, ignored, a bit dismissed. And the more we explored it, she started to realise that actually this isn't really what I want, But it's just getting another perspective from someone else, and sometimes that's all they need, just a 20-minute chat. But relationships are fascinating as well. I mean, so when relationships start, right? So you'll get a pursuer and a pursued. Yeah. Okay. So the pursuer is normally a more anxious attachment style, usually. There's 4 attachment styles: a secure attachment, anxious, dismissive avoidant, and fearful avoidant, which is like a cross between the anxious and the avoidant. But the anxious one is usually a pursuer, and the dismissive avoidant will be normally the pursued. Right. And apparently the magic happens between 2 people when they recognise something in the other person that they can't do themselves, or are denying in themselves a little bit. That makes sense. Yeah. So it complements each other. So it's like, oh, right, okay, there's something in you that I can't do very well, and there's something, they can. So it complements each other. Apparently, that's where the magic happens.
Opposites attract.
Yes, you could say that. But no, that's interesting as well. It's what makes that magic. How does that happen? And there is, as I said, there's research done into this about attachment styles tend to attract other attachment styles. So anxious will usually end up with dismissive avoidant.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Should we just start a podcast series on navigating relationships? I feel like we should. It's so fascinating.
It is, it is interesting. And, and then you think, well, what about me? And how's that been with me? And, you always look to yourself, don't you? Think, well, maybe that was like that, and that was what was going on there. And it develops, a lot of interest, doesn't it? And
So absolutely, it's so fascinating, and I think if I'm someone again that has struggled with using relationships to define myself, and I think a lot of other people that are probably listening are the same thing. And I think as well, I would link in about looking at these kind of red flags in relationships, and that's not saying red flags as in like danger, like this is a bad relationship, it's changes in that, but also looking out for them in yourself as well is really important. There's probably a lot of unresolved things that someone may have that may be impacting relationships, so it's more important than ever to get support, speak to someone, get another perspective, like you said, to address, because it might not be that there's an issue with the relationship itself that is being impacted as a result of individual things, or vice versa, that could be having an unhealthy impact on you as an individual. So I mean, that's why you guys are here doing what you do, and it's such an invaluable resource. All the resources that we've got at Health Assured. And if you don't even use Health Assured as an EAP, if you've got a different provider, there's so much support there. There's, you know, companies and charities and services like Relate as well.
Absolutely.
If you have got concerns. But the internet, whilst it does have its issues, there's so much in terms of resources and guidance there as well, isn't there? So that's this, you know, if you're listening to this, you've probably got internet access. So you can start looking at other, you know, support avenues and stuff as well to start addressing any concerns that there might be about a relationship.
Yeah, and it's just seeking out support when you need it. Everyone struggles in relationships to some extent.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite normal.
Yeah.
So, you know, no matter how happy we are in a relationship, we might get to a time where we're struggling at the moment. So, it's reaching out for the support when you need it, getting couples counselling if it's needed.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, that helps a lot of people. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Kristian. That was fantastic.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you.